Hey guys, this video is for our kindergarten and first grade team for December week 2. So all month long we are learning about the life app of joy, finding a way to be happy even when things don't go your way. And our memory verse for this month is always be joyful because you belong to the Lord. I will say it again, be joyful. Philippians 4:4. So we are going through the story of Jesus being born. And last week we started with the promise of Jesus found in the Old Testament. And this week we are hearing the coming birth of John the Baptist, so kind of leading up to Jesus. And our bottom line is you can have joy because anything is possible with God. So just hearing about how John the Baptist's mom was very old in age when she had him, and that is just anything is possible for God. So his dad didn't believe that they were going to have a baby, and God made it where he couldn't speak. And so just a really great story about remembering that God can do anything, and that's why we can have joy. So jumping into our leader guide for the week, we'd love for you to join us at 8:20 and 10:20 in the garage door room to pray and have coffee and donuts. It really is a great time. I know it's definitely worth my effort to get here 10 minutes early to join you all for that time. Then just make sure you're in your small group area by 8:30 and 10:30 so that you've got everything ready to go. When kids start to roll in, they can be playing with toys, or if you'd like, you can give them a piece of paper and have them draw a picture of the craziest thing they've ever seen someone do. I think you'd be surprised what kids will come up with here. And then they can share their pictures and stories after they draw them. Then when service starts at 9 and 11, you have an activity called True or False Stories. So you are going to need one activity page for each group that looks like this, and there are 6 stories on here. And what you're going to do is you're going to designate one side of your small group area as the false side and one side as the true side. And then you'll read the first story from the activity page, and you're going to allow time for kids to move to one side, the true or the false side, before you reveal if it's true or false. And you just want to encourage kids to make their own decisions. So say, okay, guys, don't look at your friends. I want you to think, what do you think this story is? Do you think it's true or false? You don't have to do what everyone else does. And then just continue with the rest of the story. So 2 of the stories are from the Bible. So if kids show interest in these stories, and if you have time, you can look them up in the Bible and read them to the group. So for example, the first one says, a man used only his teeth to carry a table with a woman sitting on it. He even carried it almost 40 feet across a room. True or false? And that is true. Wow, that is seriously disturbing. So in like the second one, it says this happened in the Bible in Joshua chapter 10. So if the kids are curious, you could look it up in Joshua chapter 10. All right, so then you'll close that activity down by saying, so those were some crazy stories that seemed impossible, but they were all true. Well, all but the one that was almost true. I kind of tricked you guys on that one. So we're going to go to large group where we'll hear about another story that will almost seem impossible. So then you'll head to large group. You do have a live host this week, but you'll be watching the video for the story. When you get back, you're going to do an activity called Finish the Pictures. And that looks like, let me grab it. It looks like this. So the kids are going to do the dot to dot on each picture as they go through the story of John the Baptist being born. So here's what it says. You're going to give each kid an activity page and pencil or crayon. You're going to ask the kids what they think is going on in the first picture, and then tell the kids to connect the dots to finish the picture. And then review what happened during that part of today's Bible story and repeat for each picture. So for picture 1, the priest Zechariah and his wife Elizabeth followed God's commands, but they were old and had no children. So here's Zechariah and Elizabeth. Then in picture 2, Zechariah was chosen as the priest who had to go in the temple and burn incense. While he was there, an angel told him that he was going to have a son that would prepare the way for Jesus, and he should name him John. But Zechariah didn't believe it, so the angel told him that he wouldn't be able to speak. So here's him burning incense, talking to the angel. Picture 3, Zechariah came out of the temple, and he couldn't speak, so he had to use gestures to try to tell people what was going to happen. And then picture 4, Elizabeth had the baby. She was full of joy. She said the baby was to be named John, but people didn't believe her. Finally, Zechariah could speak, and he told everyone his name is John. So, and then you can let the kids color the pictures if you have extra time. And you'll just close that down by saying, what an interesting Bible story we had today. So think about the oldest woman you know. Maybe it's a great-grandma or a grandma or somebody at church. Now imagine them having a baby. Wouldn't that be impossible? but nothing is impossible with God, as Zachariah and Elizabeth found out. And even though they were old, God gave them a baby, and not just any baby, but a baby who would grow up to get people ready for Jesus. So remember, we can have joy because anything is possible with God. So then for the memory verse review, it's called a silent relay because Zechariah became silent. So you've got this stack of memory verse cards, and it's just the memory verse split up with one word on each page, and they're already not in order. And what you're going to do is you're going to tell the kids that you're going to split them into 2 teams, and that the teams are going to run down one at a time to retrieve phrases. So you'll have 2 piles for each group, so we have enough for each group to have 2 sets. You're going to explain that they will have to do all of this without talking, just like Zechariah couldn't talk, but they can use gestures. So they'll run down, get one piece, run back, the next person runs down, gets one piece, puts it back, and then they have to put them in order without talking. So be sensitive if you've got any kids in your group that have speech or hearing problems. And then tell kids when to start. If things start to get out of hand, our kids have trouble, feel free to give a few words of guidance. And then you're going to continue until each team has put their verse in order, and then break the silence by saying the verse out loud together. And you can do that a few times. So you'll close it down by saying, it's not easy to not be able to speak, is it? But even when things aren't easy, we can have joy. Zechariah had joy about the upcoming birth of his baby and the Messiah, even though he couldn't speak. Why? Well, he knew that he could have joy because anything is possible with God. And you can have joy because anything is possible with God. And then you are just going to close down in prayer. You don't need anything. You're going to have kids stand or sit in a circle, and you're going to tell kids that they will each pray for the person to their left. So you can say the prayer below and let kids repeat it after you. So God help, and then they're going to put whoever their name is. Remember that he or she can have joy because anything is possible with you. So, and then you're just going to close it down for the day, reminding kids that they can have joy because anything is possible with God. Oh, this says tell them to do plastic. We didn't do that, so don't do that part. All right, so that's it for this week, guys. Thank you so much for serving. I hope that I will see all of you on Friday night for volunteer appreciation. It's going to be a great time. Just remember, if you can't make it on Friday night, let Joellen or Lisa know, and they will have a voucher for you to use in the bookstore on a Sunday. So we hope to see you, though. It's going to be a great time. Thank you guys so much for serving, and I'll see you on Sunday.